Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Hello friends, you are welcome to this session. This is Bhavika Patel from A.D. Patel Institute of Technology, Vidyanagar. We are going to share this session. Meet my colleague. He is Professor Shiv Kumar Singh and he is working at Institute of Technology in English department. Let's be with the topic. We are going to discuss the topic that is symbolism and thematic concerns in the poems of Robert Frost. Would like to talk about Robert Frost. He is an American poet. He is highly regarded for his realistic depictions of the rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. His work frequently employed themes from the early 1900s rural life in New England, using this setting to examine complex social and philosophical themes. A popular and often quoted poet, Frost was honored frequently during his lifetime, receiving 4 Pulitzer Prizes. Let's talk about his life and prominent poems, traits of his poems, work, the selected poems for analysis, etc. Let's be with his life first. He was born in California, raised in New England. His father died early and the family life was not easy. He was an honor student when he graduated from the high school. He entered Dartmouth College and later Harvard, but he never finished his university education. He began to write poems when he was in the middle school, but he was recognized as a poet when he was nearly 40. He won the Pulitzer Prize for 4 times. He was considered as the unofficial poet laureate of the nation in 1961. He was invited to read his poems in the inauguration ceremony of President Kennedy, and he was the only poet who once had such an honor. His prominent poems are The Road Not Taken, Mending Wall, Fire and Ice, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, Design, and After Apple Picking, etc. Let's be with the trait of his poems. The very first, his poems mostly written on nature, and he was influenced by Wordsworth and Emerson and in New England as well as its landscape. Second, that is deceptively simple style, because he writes really in lucid manner, and for that he is the popular one. Third one, that is symbolism, that shows his poems deep meaning. And fourth one, that is he was likely to choose traditional forms for his poem. But the themes of his poems are mostly modern. In his poems, traditional elements and modern elements mingle together, and that gives charm to the poetry. Let's be with his work. Robert Frost was the most popular American poet from 1914 to his death. He was more pleasant as well as Frost's achievement was fantastic. His poems are New England in the setting and are characterized by the familiar speaking voice. The subject comes from daily life of ordinary people. Frost wrote rural poetry in the pastoral tradition as a way to understand modern life. And now let's talk about language features, the way he writes. Frost's poetic style is highly appreciated in the country. He used simple language, a graceful style, and traditional forms of poetry. He was often depictively simple, exploring complexity through triviality, and he used symbols from everyday life to express profound ideas. He made his poems seem effortless by using colloquial and direct expression and conversational rhythms. His success mainly comes from 2 aspects. He combined traditional poetic forms with American vocabulary and speech rhythms. He worked individual poems into a large unit by presenting in them a record persona in the image of a wise country folk. Now, in this session, Mr. Shiv Kumar is going to discuss these 3 poems title. Let's analyze the poems, sir, please.
Thank you, ma'am. The poems which we are going to discuss all about are The Mending Wall, The Road Not Taken, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Let's start with the first one, that is called Mending Wall. And in this Mending Wall, we will be having certain sections. The first one will talk about the introduction, then we'll have the summary, and as far as the analysis is concerned, we'll have the thematic and then symbolism in the poem. Looking at the Mending Wall, let's watch the video first, which says about the poem.
Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen ground swell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each. And some are loaves, and some so nearly balls we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game. One on a side, it comes to little more. There where it is we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage, armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only in the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors.
So here it was the poem which says about the Mending Wall. Let's talk about what the poem is. Mending Wall, it is a metaphorical poem written in the blank words, published in 1949 by Robert Frost. It is set off in the countryside and about one man questioning why he and his neighbor must rebuild the stone wall, dividing their farm each spring. It is perhaps best known for its lines spoken by the neighbor, good friends make good neighbors. Moving ahead, talking about the summary of Mending Wall. A stone wall separates the speaker's property from his neighbor. In spring, the two meet to walk the wall and jointly make repairs. The speaker sees no reason for the wall to be kept. There are no cows to be contained, just apple and pine trees. He does not believe in walls for the sake of walls. The neighbor resorted off to an old saying, good friends make good neighbors. The speaker remains unconvinced and mischievously presses the neighbor to look beyond the old-fashioned folly of such reasoning. His neighbor will not be pursued. The speaker envisions his neighbor and hold over from justifiable outdated era and leaving examples to a dark age mentality. But the neighbor simply repeats the saying. There are certain themes of Mending Wall that can be discussed. The first one was man and the natural world. Our speaker takes great pains to describe the setting of this New England countryside. He points a big fat finger towards nature. Nature seems to be unnamed culprit who, in addition to hunter, continues to destroy the wall. As the poem unfolds, we learn how spring makes our speaker a bit mischievous. We see in this poem sharp contrast between natural and artificial, natural and man. The second theme is tradition and custom. When the neighbor first says, "Good friends make good neighbors," we know that we have heard this saying before. When he echoes it at the end of the poem, we realize that this saying was passed down to our neighbor from his father. In this way, the neighbor represents tradition and custom, relying on the past to serve as his guide. The speaker describes his neighbor as an old stone savage, making us think of a caveman. In doing so, speaker seems to challenge old school method and paints a picture of the wall as acquainted or uncivilized. The third theme talks about language in the communication. There is definitely a disconnection between our speaker and his neighbor. They work together to mend the wall, but they do not talk to each other as they go along. The speaker wishes to put a notion in this neighbor's heart, but he does not actually attempt to challenge the neighbor's love of the wall. The wall takes on great meaning as we watch the lines of communication shut down between the speaker and his neighbor. The next and the final theme of this mending wall is, when we talk about exploration, we would not necessarily mean Christopher Columbus. Our speaker explores uncharted water as he begins to question why trees and needs to be a wall between his property and the neighbor's property. Our speakers challenging the old school values that is neighbors embodies. Talking about the symbolisms used in the mending wall. The first one was wall and the fences. The wall is the shining star of the poem. It unites our speaker and his neighbor, but this separates them with the proverb twice, "Good friends make good neighbors." We start to consider all the wall like structure in our life: fence, gates, boundaries, lines, etc. The wall serves as a canvas upon which a lot of complex ideas about the ways in which people and their relationships with others are painted and discussed. The second symbolism used in the poem is nature and the tradition. Nature seems to act as the third wheel in this poem, the silent character swirling around the speaker and his neighbor. Although he does not explicitly describe the language we see, it is very clearly we seem to know what the seasons are like in this part of the world. Similarly, tradition seems to be the silent subject over which the speaker and his neighbor wrestle, and the neighbor upholds his ancestors' way of life, while our speaker questions this philosophy. Moving on to the next poem, that is The Road Not Taken. We'll be talking about its introduction, summary, analysis, and the poem about The Road Not Taken is like this. Let's watch the video to understand the poem better.
Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
As the poem is The Road Not Taken, it certainly talks about the choice which you have not made in your life. Now, when we say the road not taken, it simply says in our life we have so many choices to be made, and we'll have to make eventually a choice that is difficult at times, but at the end of it we realize it is worth taking. Let's talk about what the poem is all about. This is the much quoted poem by the Frost. It was included in the Mouth Interval, the first collection of the poem published in the first, the Frost retained to America. Actually, it was written in 1915 when the Robert Frost had to make a choice in his life, and he started with this poem. He decided to write the poem which actually talks about two diversions of the road, and you choose the one which makes all the difference. The summary of the poem says like this. Eventually, the Robert Frost, he had two options in his life where he had to choose one. He was very confused what to take, what not to take. But he decided to take the one which was less traveled. He knew that he will never come back to the same road again, and he may not get a chance to travel to another one, but he stuck to the one where people have never traveled, where he knew that possibilities of obstacles would arise. But he stuck to his own decisions, and he chose to travel on the road which was less traveled, and that made the all difference, and that's the reason he has become the eminent poet in this era. Let's talk about the analysis of the poem. It is possible to read this poem as a statement of some self-pity on the poet's part. A feeling perhaps that has been cheated and misunderstood because he took the unpopular path. To support his reading, one might point to the last stanza. The speaker will someday tells others that he took the unknown road when faced with a choice. The reading, however, misses much of the significance of the second and the third stanza. At the end of the second stanza, speaker states that there was really not much difference in both the routes. Neither he had really been warned by the traffic, through one had been given